Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 11th audio file in the audiocast series known as the Q News Patriot. I am the Q News Patriot. My name is Anon. I come to you tonight with great excitement and eagerness for what we are about to embark on, which I have come to personally know as Phase 2. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about Trump's rally. We're going to talk about the significance of that, because I'm not sure, even with some of what has circulated through the Truther movement over the last 24 or so, 18 to 24 hours, I'm not sure that the significance is being met quite like it should be. This is a pivotal moment in every sense of the word. We've got a couple of very obvious signals also coming from Putin and Xi. We're going to talk a little bit about the situation with Taiwan. Right now, Taiwan is the cleanup operation is ongoing right now. It's actually in progress, in motion. Joint forces are destroying those underground bases right now and those tunneling systems, finishing the clean out. They're using the ocean water to ensure that anything left down there is ends up at the bottom of the sea, basically. I remember telling you about 10 to 14 days ago that the Taiwan operation was given a public go-ahead by 45 at the Pennsylvania rally. Not quite 14 days ago, maybe 12 or so. And that mission proceeded, immediately as soon as the signal was given. The operation began, and so that's one of the things that we're going to tie back here is the weight of signals during wartime, especially from the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces. The United States military is currently coordinating and pseudo-managing alongside several other patriotic militaries around the world this large-scale, multifaceted, multi-angular operation that is cleaning out the deep state at every level. When you consider a little bit of history, what we were taught about World War II, a great deal of that is inaccurate, but part of what is accurate is a joint force went in. They established a chain of command, both within their own organizations, but also interorganizationally. And as history records and records accurately, General Dwight Eisenhower for the American side became what was known as the Supreme Allied Commander for Europe. And so the British militaries would essentially collaborate with Eisenhower and his people before they would make any serious moves once the command structure and chain of command had been established and lined out, excuse me. And so with that, we should really examine here, and we will a little bit, just how momentous that rally was with the signal given through the flags and the songs. We have 45 just under a week ago retruthing a post where he was wearing a Q lapel pin on his attire, and the text on the picture was "The storm is coming." Ladies and gentlemen, for those out there that are listening and you have family members that just can't come around, won't come around, they can't see through their own brainwashing to, connect some of these dots, understand that their process for awakening is going to look a little bit different than yours. A lot of folks out there require a little bit more jarring coincidences, so to speak, or happenstances to occur. I assure you that all of that is coming. But we have a lot of folks, even at this pivotal moment, that have been very soft on the idea of the Q patriots in each country collaborating at the level and complexity that they have. But they're beginning to come around to it. And overtures like Vladimir Putin with the Falcon, and Trump with the lapel pins, and again at the rallies where he's playing these songs that are Q themed or Q related, and somehow these are all more and more overt signals that, the full scale public um, awakening and comeuppance is about to happen. And so we're going to get into a little bit of that in just a moment. The first thing I'd like to talk about with you tonight is the situation in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, much like Donald Trump did last night at the rally, Vladimir Putin earlier this week released a short snippet to, we'll just say the electronic archives and media outlets, or excuse me, media airwaves throughout the world, of him with a young Russian girl. They were at what looked like an aviary for birds of prey, a falcon training center perhaps, or a bird of prey reserve. And this young lady asked Mr. Putin, President Putin, if she could name the bird Storm. And the president stood there for a moment, thought, contemplated to himself, and then did something that is completely unheard of in wartime and can only be interpreted as a calm. Vladimir Putin comes out and tells this young lady on camera, that's a great name for this bird. There is currently a special operations unit of the Russian military named Storm executing special military tasks in the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, in wartime, you do not telegraph anything about your position, where you're at, what you're doing, who's doing it, why they're doing it, if they're doing it. No such thing exists in wartime. There is that sort of slight slip up, if you would, to come from a former KGB colonel and Russian FSB intelligence community officer who is now the president of the Russian Federation and is on record saying that he will throttle the Illuminati and destroy them with his bare hands. That sort of tip-off is not by accident. That was an optical happenstance that you got to witness. My interpretation of that is the exact interpretation that I give to Trump's rally last night. The storm is about to start publicly. Putin has been running the special military operation in Ukraine on low gear for as long as possible. He has been as surgical as he possibly can be to minimize civilian casualties, while also understanding that, the Ukrainian armed forces and the Ukrainian government will just slaughter their own people and blame it on him. At this point in the war, we have the last bastions in Ukraine that are very heavily cabal and closer to what the traditional stomping grounds of the ancient Khazarian one kingdom, were, and they are zealously protecting it as though this was their last island of, their last bastion, so to speak. Putin, in his video, told all of the deep state located in Europe and in Ukraine that the storm is about to start for them in a whole new way. We've talked a little bit about the economic implications of what is about to happen to Europe as a result of Russia throttling the petrodollar. We've not really talked about some of the implications that come when Russia goes in and takes out the last of the Khazarian holdout known as Ukraine. And I can't give any sort of speculation as to how that will be divided up, but I can say that this will be a fire and fury operation from Russia. This is going to make the military operations in Ukraine to this point look childish by design. The Russian bear is going to destroy every tunneling, trafficking, satanic sacrifice lair and den in all of Central and Eastern Europe. A great deal of that is economic and financial, but there is a significant portion of that, especially in the Ukrainian and Baltic areas, that is physical. While I cannot give a speculation as to whether Russia will physically invade any of the Baltic states or whether there will be intergovernmental cooperation right now, I can say that Russia will not tolerate any of these fools getting away. It's not going to happen. Putin will not allow it. Putin is now partnered with Turkey, and there's going to be some reckoning with that particular relationship as well. Turkey has a bit of a checkered past, but is very tired of being subverted and their, relatively calm and peaceful beliefs and religious way of life being completely bastardized by these evil Ashkenazi Jews, not Jews. Um, Pay attention to Turkey and Putin, and pay attention to any times that their presidents are speaking on the same topics. As we go into phase two, we're going to see a lot more openness with these types of communications, some of which will become public and some of which will stay private, I'm sure. But that being said, Europe is about to enter a bit of a calamitous phase, as is the United States and other countries around the world. We've talked a little bit about the financial system coming down. It's currently crashing. The crash is, you have to remember a structure this large and this all entrenched in every area of society. A crash is a trickle down effect, and it takes a while to come all the way down through the system, but it's well underway. And so that's one aspect of how things are going to be just a little bit pinched for a while. And we've talked about that. But one of the other ways that it's going to be a little bit pinched for a while is we're going to have some optically impressive, dramatic things unfolding in the public space with regards to treason, with regards to traitors. You're going to start seeing the COVID crimes come out on mainstream media and alternative media, even the ones that are what we would call controlled deep state opposition. Those individuals out there have their part to play, whether they know it or not, and that part is coming. In the United States, just yesterday, Trump gave a rally that could only be interpreted by myself as a bit of an ultimatum. I did not get a chance to personally view the rally. I was out of town with my little one and was unable to visually behold it, but I listened to it on my audio. I was very impressed with the commander-in-chief and how he held himself. And then, of course, with the music and the songs and the discussion about 17 times in Washington and things like that. The comms from President 45 are really ratcheting up. They are no holds barred at these rallies. There is, or just this last week to 10 days or so in that time period, Trump came out and essentially said that if the FBI raids you, just ignore them. They're not legitimate. They've proven that they're not legitimate. And that's a tremendous, tremendous statement to come from a man who, the entire time he was in office and even on his way out of office in the public eye, did everything to the period and the comma and the capital letter according to the law. And so that, I believe, in and of itself is a comm from 45 saying that lawlessness has now been achieved in the United States of America. We've proven that it is here. We've proven the double standard and the willful malfeasance and negligence that goes on, and we as Americans will not stand for it. And then when I researched about the flags today, as I'm sure many of you have already seen, we should talk a little bit about the significance of that. In wartime, especially under Admiralty law, war on the seas, so to speak, flags are used to do essentially all of the communicating. Nowadays we have Morse code and we have light code that we use with, lights and things like that. We send Morse via, visual optical messaging. But, for the longest time in human history, and certainly for the amount of time in days past where humanity may have had different awareness levels of the cabal, flags were the primary method of communication in war. The flag that was displayed at the Trump rally was not absent of stars at all. The flag that was displayed at the Trump rally had stars embroidered on it that were black. The significance of that is the exact same significance as you would have with a pirate ship rolling up its Jolly Roger right behind you on the open high seas. It is a declaration of hostility. It is a declaration of no quarter to be given, meaning at from this moment on, we exist in a state of total war. Under in the United States military code of conduct, total war is used for preservation of the republic and the American way of life. To display such a flag with black embroidered stars at the rally without the Admiralty law fringe, thereby showing that the capturedness of our government has been reversed. That was essentially the last call for anyone on their side of the fence if they want to live, not if they want to avoid fighting. From here on out, a declaration of total war means no quarter given. There will be no prisoners. We will not arrest you and give you a tribunal. We will kill you if you are in the way. We have enough evidence already to justify everything we do from here forward, and we are not going to waste time on the administrative blah blah. That flag is significant in ways that I'm not sure people understand yet. As I reported just a few days back, the National Guard has gone around at different localities in the United States, especially localities with 50 to 75,000 people or more, and begun inter-agency training with local law enforcement. Now, while I was not given what those reasons for that interagency training are, I can say that critical thinking dictates to me it would have to be something that the military of the United States has a vested interest in. And we know that the military of the United States does not have a vested interest in local crime, even if that local crime is significant. Just look at Chicago and LA. All right. But the United States military would have a very significant interest in networking and trafficking cells that are so involved at a large scale level that they are impactful of, say, local electoral process, local economy and economics, local living conditions and lifestyles. And also if they are part of a larger operation that poses a threat to the republic of the nation and the existence of this republic of states. The United States military has a very vested interest in that and would be wholly involved at correcting that, even down to the local level. And we have seen that interagency training and some of that leak out a little bit around the United States. And we know that just from those optics, considering that you can't really keep a lid on something like that for very long, we have to be very close to the beginning of phase 2. And then yesterday, we essentially had the last call from the commander-in-chief himself saying, okay, if you wish to save yourself and contribute to the restructuring and reinvention of this great republic of the United States of America, now is the time. If we meet you on the battlefield at this point, from this point forward, we will not even take you prisoner. We will do away with you, as you are now a combatant against the lawful government of the United States, and we are taking this country back. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you have lived through the hardest part of this process so far. And with that, we need to appreciate that the next phases are going to also be tough. You're going to be called upon to counsel those around you. You are going to be asked to preserve stability and consistency. You are going to be reminded that your oath to your fellow man is to walk him through the darkness, not drop him on the ground because he dragged his feet for so long. We are entering into the phase of this operation both in Europe and in the United States of America and in the Commonwealth realms by proxy from the United States of America, as many of them are intertwined with the armed forces of the United States and joint coalitions. We are entering the next phase where things go public very quickly, where there's going to be a lot of disclosure very fast, and where, you know, those among us that are of sturdy heart will make it rather quickly, and others are going to really need your counseling. I'm struggling to maintain my typical even keel and very steady tone, because I am extremely invigorated at what I see happening around us. I'm extremely invigorated and encouraged by what we saw from the commander in chief in an open declaration, both with the Q retruthing and the discussion about the FBI and the lawlessness of the FBI, and then with the rally yesterday. I can assure each and every one of you that we are so close, we might as well taste it. I did a little bit of digging today, just kind of as a segue from all of that, with things already happening. I got on the Tor browser and um, basically went around and tried to find anything that I could concerning special operations that are just beginning. And so we had communications going to and from the 486th Flight Test Squadron from the U.S. Air Force. This unit is actually not a test squadron at all. It's actually a quick reaction force that is given by the Air Force to the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the domestic emergency support teams, any foreign emergency support teams that they designate. And primarily, this force is created to respond to domestic terror incidents in a quick reaction style. The test designation is believed to have come with the unit having to be so active at Eglin Air Force Base. And so they lumped it into kind of like a broad label name. But, these are special operators, and communications began, apparently earlier this week. It would make a lot of sense given what happened with 45 yesterday. What's very interesting is this unit reports to Air Force Material Command, whose mission is the development, acquisition, testing, deployment, and sustainment of air-delivered non-nuclear and nuclear weapons. The Eglin complex is home to Air Force Special Operations Command at Hurlburt Field, and it's also home to the United States Army 7th Special Forces, which relocated from nowhere else than Fort Bragg in 2011. We talked about Fort Bragg's connectivity to the Q drop, referring to the first arrest, and the 503rd Military Police Detachment, which is a special operations military detachment. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say that we are about to roll into the beginning of, the public end of the deep state apparatus. We've been starving them out in the background. We've been cutting their slush funds off. We've been taking their gold back. We've been infiltrating and taking down their trafficking networks. We have been rescuing the children in deep tunnel operations all around the world. We have been coordinating with the patriots and nations, national militaries, also all around the world. This is a humanity encompassing cooperative that we are all a part of. And we are about to be vindicated in a way that will show us out through history as having been called and chosen by God for this purpose, because we were given the strength to learn this so that we could have the strength to give to others at the point where they have to learn it in a much more aggressive way. And so with that, I think that's a great place to stop for tonight. This has been a joy to give to you. I am extremely encouraged about what is coming next. If we lose communications for a while, please understand that we are absolutely in control. The communications, if they go, that is by design and necessary to entrap roaches in their cages. Comms will not be out for long. Again, if they go, and I cannot guarantee that they will, but if they go, we should expect less than 10 to 14 days, somewhere in that time frame or less, of actual blackout. And if that happens, enjoy your family and enjoy your household and the freedom that's coming. We are about to be free on this world like we've never been before. Our grandparents and great-grandparents and generations past would look upon us with strong and steady hearts because they are glad for what we are doing for this world. We are going to take back the earth and remake it in God's image the way it was supposed to have been. We are well into that process, and it's only going to get more exciting from here. Have a wonderful evening. This is SG Anon. I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.